And we were talking to Agilent, and Agilent is like, we have no idea why the fuck it's doing that. We're like, we've sent a tech. Your instrument is fine. It just does that. Is that stop?
Uh-oh. You just went robotic.
Oh, great. Uh, That's one of these evenings. Hmm. Uh,
Yeah. Mourning the loss of the Cardinals.
Aw.
Yeah,
Was hoping
yeah.
was hoping they get back into the playoffs again.
Going to the Blues game tomorrow night, and there's a couple of the Andrews are trying to say that they're going to start Yadier Molina and they call a timeout and pull him out. Guys, I don't think they're going to do that. Bullshitting you.
All right, how do I sound?
You sound fine.
Sweet.
Like an angel.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, come on. You know it's true.
Oh, I guess I need to remove the dead guys so they don't clutter the upcoming battlefield.
Oh no.
Why the hell does this take me so long to load?
Uh,
I don't know. I have been periodically going robot-y, and I didn't take that long to load. So I wasn't paying attention, so I could have taken a million years.
There we go. All right, so I heard a little bit about baseball talk and something about slaughter.
Yes.
Who was rooting for the Cardinals?
that would be me.
Pony
uh,
Cardinals.
Yeah, an old St. Louis Blues and Cardinal fan.
mm, mm. Oh yeah, he's on his way. David is.
Old Thal?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yep, alright. And our other Dave isn't feeling well, so.
Thank you, babe. So Dave, not David. Dave is feeling under the weather.
Yeah. I'll let you guys figure out if you guys want to run him, how you want to decide.
If we want to run his multi-class monstrosity,
Yes.
I probably would prefer you remove some critters from the battlefield.
Nuh-uh.
I'm touching my nose.
What? How about you make it available to all of us so we can just look at it and be like, hey.
Let's see. He was running
A monk,
Sewell.
rogue, ranger.
Yeah. Let me configure permissions here.
Oh, I have a date calendar going right now. That's cool. Go this way. We're at Hammer 18.
Yeah, you still got 12 days to go on the sword repair.
I need to update mine. I'm still on 13 days ago and done.
Let's see.
Boop, 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 boop.
What?
Let's see.
Okay. Everybody should be able to see Dave's sheet.
Ah.
Not as bad as Ken was, but see, I don't know. For half a second there, Wade, it was like froze on you, like having a horrified look at wherever you were looking at.
So I actually haven't seen you connect yet, Wade.
It's frozen. It doesn't say that it's loading.
You're frozen too. Your camera is. There you go. But you were periodically freezing. You're moving smooth right now. Oh Lord have mercy.
The system update on my Eero Wi-Fi, and I'm frozen again. God damn it!
Yeah, your video's going back to jerky.
Yes. And I guess I'll need to get ready to write notes since the YouTube video stopped going.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh.
No, I feel guilty saying anything.
Still trying to catch up from my trip.
Well, a Sewell might be a team effort.
Okay.
It might be easier depending on the
Well, yeah, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
if one of you guys come across something and have an idea,
yeah.
can pitch it to the team.
Yeah, the other aspect is in terms of where we fall in combat. We
Yeah.
person controlling them in combat shouldn't be probably right next to each other.
I see you are joining the game now.
Yes.
Yay.
We'll see. I'm still looking at a black screen. Oh, there it goes. Finally. I did a system update that was pushed out for my Eero, the Amazon Wi-Fi system. Ever since that update, my my Wi-Fi has been shit.
Did they say anything about them being about it having errors or issues?
Oh, no, every time I think about, hey, I should go and search and see if there's any notes on this thing, I'm always doing something else. And I don't have the time to go do it at that moment. Maybe I'll do that right now while we're talking. So, yes, it looks like I'm in the game finally.
Okay. The other thing you might check is if they posted another update right after the one you applied, or
Yeah,
if
I've
you
been
can reverse that.
revert back. Oh, look at that. This morning there wasn't, now there is. It says there's a software update available.
That might be useful.
Mm-hmm. If you want
Hopefully
to,
that will.
if you want to try and apply that while we're waiting for the other Dave.
Already started.
That's what I was about to say. Like, download that thing.
I mean, I do a lot of video conferencing for work, and there are times I start getting texts after, not noticing that video is frozen up or my audio's doing the max headroom. So,
Right.
yeah, throw shit against the wall, angry about my setup. My Tuesday night group is about to finish Rime of the Frost Maiden.
How was it?
Not bad. Not bad. It didn't blow my hair back very much, but it was enjoyable. Had a decent DM running it, so it was good.
Well, I've probably got close to another year left on this campaign.
What level are you thinking about this ending?
It's gonna be probably around 16 or 17.
We're not shooting for 20.
I mean, you'll be finished before you hit 20. It'll be close.
I'm gonna the question is when we're probably gonna start. I kind of figured, plans for us to start hopping planes here in a little bit.
It is somewhat up to you guys.
Let's see. We have a tree that we need to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Of course, first you have to get out and survive the next encounter. So.
Oh. Excuse me.
Oh, that's right. We're in a
I just
fight.
heard Hannah giggling.
Yeah, because your next encounter definitely has the potential to be a TPK.
How's everyone's spell slots holding up?
Well, I thought you had finished a long rest, then you engaged the two skulls,
Right.
Yes.
and then
I'm only missing one.
And then the one mage that was inside the statue.
Yeah, and we took care of that. He's not dead as far as we know, but he's also really hurt. So either way.
well, he
Oh,
was
okay.
really hurt, but remember, you've had a long rest, so odds are he has too.
No, we haven't had a long rest. We had
Yes,
a
we
long
have.
rest before the fight.
Yes,
You-
we did.
Because-
That's what I meant.
No, remember, you've had 2 fights because you
Mhm.
just fought 2 flame skulls.
Right, and the flame skulls were followed in by the the foxy thing.
No, that was the fight before.
What did I use a spell slot for?
Because you met the ghost. Well, first you fought the flame skulls, the foxy thing, the amber golem came charging in. Then you managed to go
Oh.
upstairs.
And then 2 skulls.
Well, you rested, and then you fought 2 more flame skulls. And then the ghost appeared.
Oh, well, we
What?
fought the fox boy twice.
Yes, we fought the fox boy twice, and
Oh,
Before
that's
you
right.
met-
Yeah.
Yeah, we fought him
we
twice.
fingered
Like,
death to Xavier.
yeah. So yeah, that's why I'm like we just finished that because I don't see a short rest.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Which also reminds me. Let's see.
Yeah, Xavier just got healed by Tuga for maximum health.
For
And
maximum heal per spell.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And who took a ring from the loot under the stairs?
Not
the-
me, and I
The
don't.
the 5 rings of warmth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thought just about everyone did.
2 of us did not, because 2 of us already had rings of warmth.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I didn't take one, and I don't know who the other person didn't take one.
I may have created
so?
mine instead. I may have created mine instead of actually going to the bag. If that's what's the problem.
No. Basically, he needs to know who took one from underneath the
Stairway.
Okay,
Yeah. I did not, because I already had one.
Okay.
Hey, Hannah, did you already have a ring of warmth, or?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, so okay, so I think it was me and Hannah did not
Okay.
then. Because everyone else, it was pretty much like, you guys are freezing, you have to wear these.
Yeah.
Was there 6 of them or 5 of them? I thought we were like even one short for the people.
There were 6 of them in the bag because he actually told you guys if anybody didn't need one to leave them under the stairs.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that, like, just in case someone else happens to wander in and needs it. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I don't need one. I already have one, so. So I left one behind instead of being greedy about it. I'm being good.
Okay.
Oh, he is not a. Oh, Azul is not attuned to warmth.
Robot, man. If you can hear me, you're a robot.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
He is not as.
We can hear you that time.
Yeah.
Ring of Warmth is not attuned on Azul.
Yeah, I don't see one on him.
He has one. It's just not
Yeah.
attuned. I'm just like.
Yeah, I think we needed a short rest to do that.
Yes.
So I
We
think
had a long. I thought we had like a long rest to attune to it or something.
no, we found them after the long rest.
Right.
So, yeah, I think what it is we did the long rest, we finished, skulls started showing up because Creaky WD-40 needed in a grate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I was,
We fought the skulls, we fought Foxboy. Foxboy nearly took out Xavier. We healed Hannah's character healed Xavier, and I think we were about to do a short rest. I think that's what we were about to do, so some people could recover key points and fighter abilities and all that jazz. Because I know Wade on a short rest can get back spells as well, at least once per long rest.
Oh, okay. He actually is attuned. I forgot which color attunement is. It is. He is attuned to a ring of warmth, so I should put his resistance add a resistance to fire to cold onto his sheet.
Should auto do it.
Yeah.
Let me
It
check
does.
mine.
It does not.
Well, mine did. I don't know what's going on. Mine did.
All right then. Well then, I always have had to manually do things.
Yep.
Yeah, he
Yep.
has resistance to cold.
I just added it.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I see mine. Yeah, mine worked. I don't know what's going on with his. That's the problem with Dave not being here. Dave can't tell us what's.
Yeah.
You're the next expert on this, Tony.
Wade's text must have been a big update.
Did he just send a message?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're still technically waiting on David, so.
Yeah. Since we're waiting, I'm gonna do a couple of things. I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Stairs.
Da, 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 da. There's Wade.
Oh, I'll listen in for a bit while this
No.
the update.
Tony stepped away right now, so he's basically while you update. And there's David.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Greetings.
Hey,
So to get you caught up on it, David, is we were talking about what happened last time. What was basically the last thing we did, which was talk to the ghost, and you got healed.
Did I miss the last session?
Possibly. Yes, you did. I think. Do you remember nearly being killed?
No, I don't remember very nearly. I thought it was in this room.
Yeah. You got blasted with a finger of death, and it dropped you.
What in the hell? We haven't even left this room.
Because you remember the fox demon boy that we were fighting?
Vaguely.
Yeah, he came back with some skulls.
Like the guy that was in the statue?
Yeah, he came after us.
You got
And
out of that.
Yep, he blasted you with a finger of death.
And we
and
think
dropped
he's possessing you.
Like he blasted you pretty good. Like it dropped you in one hit.
And then he disappeared immediately after doing that, so we think he's possessed you.
Possibly.
Wait a second. Nobody used my evasion?
It wasn't a deck save. It was a con save.
Oh.
Yeah. And you took what was it? Let's see if it's still in the roster. You took.
It took.
Is it in there? 68 points of necrotic damage. There it is.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like I said, it was a lot of damage.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Don't
had
like that.
no shot.
Don't like that.
Yeah, but luckily we have a grave cleric, so when you got healed for maximum.
Just the spell amount.
No, it's maximum. Remember,
the
he was
spell amount.
unconscious. So you got, what was it, 19? Yeah, it was 19.
Okay, real quick, what level are we?
7.
Okay,
8.
What?
we
leveled
are?
up?
Yeah. Or no, sorry, not 8. 7. You're right. I don't
Okay.
have. I don't have my paladin level. Not my. I don't have my paladin quote unquote oath.
Okay, yeah, I was just like, what?
Or maybe I'm 8 and y'all are 7. You don't know.
I mean, that's alright.
Any better, Wade?
Well, I'm on my phone, cellular, so I can listen in. It says it's about a 15-minute update, so apparently there was all kinds of things filed up in that last update.
Okay.
Yep. I was like, yeah. That's why I was like, did it not send something out? And you're like, oh, there it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you can listen in. I guess give us access to his character as well, just in case.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
So I hear fireball, fireball, fireball. Okay, so yeah, we were supposed to be taking a short rest, right, Wade? Question mark. Eh,
Got interrupted on our short rest.
Okay, so we would still need to take that short rest so y'all can so people can tune to the Ring of Warmth.
Yeah, about that short rest.
There's more people coming.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we should not have rings of warmth active.
Activated? Probably not.
Not yet.
Yeah, only people have it activated are the people that already had it.
All right, we're going to. Okay.
So let's see what I can do.
Yeah, as you guys are considering your short rest, you hear somebody
Oh, Lord have mercy.
kind of in a loud voice go, I smell human flesh.
Who's human?
Technically, Xavier's part human.
Wait. I'm a fucking tiefling.
You got human in ya.
No, that's still more. Are you just saying elf or?
Start
Well,
rolling
really doesn't
matter.
initiatives. Okay, got that one. Got that one. Got that one. You can remove the echo.
I mean, I think you are the
Holy
most. I think you're
shit.
the most human.
Did I just roll 3 nat 20s?
Maybe.
I didn't watch.
No, I came down close. I rolled an 18. I rolled an 18, and I rolled a 20 for initiative. Pain. Pain.
Now, to some degree, me and Azul are actually right on top of each other.
I can still see the map. It's that part of the page loaded. Where is this thing coming from?
Good question. Don't know. You're on the stairwell. I'm near the stairwell. My Echo's by the door. Soul's by the door. Tuga's by the door. Xavier's by the door. Xavier needs more health.
Xavier
So,
does need more health.
wait, it is coming from the door to the south.
Got it. Where the stairway is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the fuckery about all of this is the two people on top are the people that are not currently here in the initiative order.
And Tuga, when you have a chance, roll your initiative.
Oh, shoot, sorry.
Oh, nope.
Wow.
Yep,
There's not. That bitch is back.
I think. Who's the best person to do it? Is it me or am I too close to Azul?
God, no, your character is dead last of initiative.
I know, but doesn't that mean I'm closest to Azul?
Yeah, to Azul, yeah. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah, technically, but at the same time, you have a. If you look at the initiative order, there's 3 things below you.
Oh, right. Just noticed. It's now
So,
just fighting who's Azul.
Ah, shit. Uh,
well, you
But
guys can
hey,
talk about it and figure out what you guys' best plan of action is, because this was a large voice, and preceding the large voice, Loris, you heard like heavy footsteps
and
from the stairwell,
Azul.
or
from
Yeah.
yeah, from the door on the south end of the stairwell.
oh, okay.
Yeah, not the one you're on, right? Not the circular one he's on, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, you're on the wrong. Never mind. You did not hear that. Asul heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Azul can see it.
Yeah.
Yes, Azul is the only one. Well, maybe actually Tuga.
Azul, Tuga, and maybe Xavier.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, with Azul in this scenario, would Azul be able to gauge if this bastard could get through there?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be a tight
Uh,
fit, but yeah.
Flanking is a not flanking. Bottlenecking is a thing. So, all right, Loris, do we stand and fight or do we move?
Well, it's better than running, getting our ashes shot up, and then fight anyway. So let's just go right at it, because we're gonna
Yeah,
fight it.
yeah. He basically would shout, it's big, it's mean, it might be a troll."
I thought we had seen a giant golem.
That was in the fight in the lower
Prior.
other level.
Yeah, that was 2 fights ago. This is
Yeah.
I'm just like, why are we
Let's
concluding a
see.
troll instead of the golem's voice?
golems don't speak. You just hear footsteps.
What's that distance?
He has 120 something.
He's
Because of
like,
the robe.
there's at least 3 of them.
Yeah, that robe of eyes gives him. That's my character.
And the little foxy guy's back.
I don't think
That
we're gonna
guy.
decide who's gonna play Azul unless we do a roll off.
Well, no, the problem is we need Loris back because that's right now we're Jaegering 2 people right now. Yeah, he sees out to 120 at least. It might be more because of I don't know if he's a Gloomstalker.
He is.
He's a Gloomstalker. It might be a little bit more. So yeah.
And is he?
Wade.
You there, Wade?
Yes.
Okay.
How much?
So you're saying use the bottleneck basically.
Oh yeah,
All right.
I would. Better than having.
Tony,
Wrong.
refresh my memory. Is this environment lit up?
Yes, there are 4 candelabras in the room.
Okay.
Shedding.
Basically, I'm trying to figure out if Azul would charge in this situation. Wade, would he charge in or would he wait for it to come to him?
I think he's come to realize the glass cannon reality of Monk. I don't know that he would charge in.
Yeah.
Maybe draw.
Although if he's got enough movement to get back,
Yeah.
he can throw it.
Does he use his boots yet?
No, that was another thing that he needed to attune to, and possibly wasn't due to the Ring of Warmth.
I mean, let me check. He
Oh, he
is
has
attuned.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so he is attuned to it. So, does anyone remember activating the boots at all last fight?
No, he did not.
Okay. Well, yeah, he could have enough movement to get there and back if he uses the boots of haste.
Or he could just throw or launch an arrow.
Does he have that? He's got the
He has
flex missiles.
He has a
He's
long
got
bow.
Yeah, why not? We'll shoot a longbow down the hallway.
Okay.
Wait. Activate the boots of haste or no? I'll leave that one up to you. The player.
Do you bonus action a hunter's mark or not?
No, I'm asking about
What?
haste first.
Should Azul haste?
Oh yeah, haste is.
Haste is
Alright.
nice. It's just
Okay, so I heard yes to haste. Haste is activated. Boom. Item. The spell book. Yeah, he's got all sorts of shit. What's favorite
Yeah.
enemy? Oh yeah, he does that once per turn.
roll up to the top for haste.
Yeah. So we got where's the spell effects? There, spell book. Let's activate haste. I need to target himself. Boop. Haste. Consume. All right, he's got haste. So yeah, he can't use Hunter's Mark.
First
All
turn
right.
on your first turn in combat, your walking speed increases by 10 feet. And if you take an attack action, you can do an additional attack action as part of that action on the first turn.
Yeah. No, I'm not worried about that. His AC goes up by 2. Advantage on Dex saving throws. Speed is doubled.
So you'll be doing 2
Let's
shots.
see if I can hit.
You'll be doing
Let's see if I
3
can hit.
shots. You'll be doing 3 shots.
2 shots. He doesn't have multi-attack.
On his first turn he does, which is why I was reading out Dread
Oh,
Ambush.
that's right. The Ranger Gloomstalker. So first one.
That's first.
Boop. Why did not? Okay, cool. Is it rolling?
Yep.
Misses. Second attack, which is the Gloomstalker thing.
Well, that was a crappy roll.
I'm not sure if it's Dave or I just. Oh, there's a good roll.
Yep.
And it does an additional D8 of force from the Gloomstalker thing. No, it's supposed to be all force damage, isn't it? Where are you?
What force?
Dread Ambusher.
Isn't that a melee?
It's just extra damage.
No, it's just attack. It's just an attack.
Okay.
It's just extra. No force.
Extra. No, it takes an extra 1d8 of the weapons attack. So there's another d8 on top of that.
Okay.
So 16 points total. And yeah, he'll move back a bit, just because grouping's bad.
Okay.
And in turn, Loris, what do you want to do?
Where are they? Are they up the stairs yet?
No, they're down.
They're still at the bottom of the stair, the south stairwell.
Yeah, nowhere
Hall.
near the spiral.
And a quick question. So I activated the token module thing. Are you guys seeing that? Where it shows the banner with whose turn it is?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure that was working. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, since we have access to it, it keeps flashing. Since we have access to multiple characters,
Right.
it keeps flashing.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, Loris, they are very south from you. You can't see anything, but you did hear a soul say, "Hey, troll."
3.
3 trolls.
Well, I've got. If we want to slow them down, I can put a ray of frost on the first one and cut 10 off of his move. I could do a first level chromatic orb.
Let me fill you in. Azul's like, I think they might be frost.
They're kind of blue looking.
Yes.
Their teeth kind of look like ice.
What's the range here? Range 90 feet range, chromatic orb, make it fire. That would do a nice bit of damage. 48 plus 4.
Yeah.
If I
You can't see where you're at from right now. You're gonna have to move forward.
that's fine.
All right, so I'll start moving you forward. There we go.
Shit, are you kidding me?
Okay.
Something went wrong with.
Uh-oh.
Oh my contact support! God damn it!
So the update screwed everything even worse.
Yeah, now it's dead in the water. I won't update. Way to go, on.
Oh my gosh. Well, all right. So you said chromatic orb, what level?
It's first level.
First level. All right. No upcast.
Good. If I think I built this one right, it should come up 48 plus 4 for the damage roll.
Is this
Chromatic
immediately
orb. Yeah, here we go. Chromatic orb, first level. Consume spell slot. Target. I think I have them targeted. I do. And let's see what happens.
Is this literally like a minute, like a like a moment after we picked up Xavier, or did we have a minute to think that we could short rest?
Well, fuck. Yeah, I rolled a 19 on a die. So and 15 fire damage. Yeah, it does.
What
Yeah,
happened?
48. Yep. Minimum 2. So, yeah, it did. The rolls themselves are meh. But 15 points of fire damage, and it ignores any fire resistance it may have.
Yeah, on the damage, he rolled a 1, a 3, a 1, and a 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus side is the minimum he can roll is actually a 2. But
Oh, so that's 17?
see, 3, no, because it's 3 plus 4, which is 11 plus additional 4 on top of that from his gauntlets, gloves, whatever we call them.
Yeah, it took it into account.
Yep, it took everything. It looks like everything's working, Wade.
Yep.
Yeah,
Two.
5 feet of movement. I'm gonna move you
Okay.
off the center line. That sound good?
I like it.
Do you want? Yeah. I'm gonna go with let's cut a corner versus move more towards the center. All right, cool. That's all your movement. Bonus. Do you have a bonus action?
Not a good one. So no, I don't
Cool.
really.
All right, and turn.
Thank-
Yep, your banners are working, Tony.
All right.
Banner.
All right. So I'm realizing we've got company and I hurt like hell.
You got potions?
Nope. So with that,
I think I've got at least one. Loris does. Am I near him?
Sort of.
it
You're
can be.
15 feet away, yeah.
It's a
Yeah, my
possibility.
sheet loaded here. Do I have one? I do. I've got a 2 potions of greater, or 1 potion of greater. No, I've got 2.
Um, yeah, all right. I'll boogie.
Let's see.
And or is that a regular or?
Yeah, you moved 15.
I think he's talking about the potion. So greater, I think. Wait.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that'd be 50%.
Are we doing the percentage?
Yeah.
Oh, 50%.
50.
Okay.
Yeah, greater's 50, regular's 25.
Hold on, I can do math.
Give it a moment.
That's much better. Um,
Is your action?
um,
Gonna try and move somewhere else to try to take stealth?
taking stealth would be an action.
You're a rogue. It's not.
It's oh, to hide. That's true. It's a bonus action. But doing the cloak of invisibility, that's a full action.
Yes, I forgot. Don't know your items.
That's 30. All right. Because I don't normally play rogues all that often. Um, if I'm gonna hide over here, Tony,
Uh huh.
you want me to make a stealth roll?
Yes, please.
All
That's
right.
pretty good. Okay.
So I'm doing like a better version of Kronk on the corner, just hoping nobody fucking notices me. All right, that's my turn.
Okay. Oh, shit.
Okay. Yeah. I was waiting for the banner to go down. All right. Net. Move. Okay, I don't know what just happened. 1 second. Sorry.
Sorry.
I just got a whole bunch of texts all at once. Okay, cool. Nothing serious. All right. Let me move. Okay. Get that boy. How far are you from me? Gotta move one more up. Cool. And that is the potato chip. Uh, all right, let's see. I need to highlight him. I need to hit that, or at least attempt to. All right. Lightsaber.
Ask the Skywalker, what shall we do?
Okay, that damage is incorrect.
Why?
That's why.
Master Skywalker, you've been denied your MasterCard.
All right, cool.
It's outrageous.
Because you were never made a master.
Add 3 more damage on top of that, Tony.
Okay.
All right. And it's still not doing it. Okay, add another 3 more damage on top of that.
Okay.
Why?
Because I have S plus 7 strength, not a plus 4, and I don't know why it's not doing it. So, all right. Okay. I'll fix that in a second. No.
Well, he's thinking on that way. You might try a factory reset on that device.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Right there it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna use the Unleash Incarnation. All right. Unleash Incarnation, get another attack in. And that'll be 16 points, not 13.
Okay.
And that will end my turn, so I get time to look at what the hell I'm trying to do.
So. You guys, and then.
Oh, yes.
What is going on with the echo?
Beep 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 beep. Beep 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 beep. Ah, I see. Hmm. Far on my way, am I? Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, it's short distance, unnaturally short distance. Okay. Never remember how far away I'm allowed to be for some stuff. Toll the dead. Well, I don't think I could.
I just heard robot.
Like,
I can still understand you, but yeah, I just heard robot.
that's what I roll.
A lot of robot now.
Oh,
Well, you're supposed to be rolling. If you're doing Toll the Dead, it's D12s, not D8s. It literally rolled the same.
oh. You might need to fix that. There was a delay.
Okay.
All right, that's hilarious. Do.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's taken care of.
I'm gonna stay where I'm at.
Okay.
Oh dear,
What?
dear. Is
Deer?
well, I just yeah. Oh dear.
Deer?
And now the Arcana Wolf.
Hey.
Yes.
Not necessarily.
I don't know if you can see past the troll.
Oh, I can look through between its legs, I would think.
There's a troll. There's a door. There's a wall. There's a statue. You can't see what I can see.
I can sort of see, but I might not be supposed to be able to see. If that makes
Well,
sense.
there's environmental light in here, as Tony said.
Yeah.
It's not darkness. Otherwise, a soul would be yelling at me to put away the lightsaber.
Why would he right now?
Because he could have complete invisibility.
If he charged forward.
What?
What? It
No,
is
what?
lit.
Okay.
Where he is, it's completely lit. That's all.
No, what I'm saying is where my lightsaber is at, he would not want that out.
If we didn't have light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if we didn't have light, then I'm fine.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Step aside. It's my turn to sniff 'em out.
Your humans are causing me a lot of troubles.
Oh, it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here. Then. Ace.
You smell that? I smell dwarf.
All right.
Been a while since I've had me some boiled dwarf.
And they have disadvantage on the roll.
Wow.
Then he rolls at normal. Your special fella.
Doesn't really matter. He failed.
Oh, they all failed. All right. And
Uh-huh.
I grant as a bonus action, I give Bardic Inspiration to our fire breather since we're doing ice trolls.
Wow. Okay.
All right, there's my turn.
Is, that was a good call on that one. Uh,
Do I need to show the info panel?
that's a Tony question. Tony, did you hear him?
No.
He wants. Oh, okay. He doesn't need to show it.
Correct.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
One's drooling.
Unless they're outright just immune, all of them are immune to the charm effect.
Which is totally possible.
It probably is the little fella, and
Okay.
I thought the trolls maybe still be able to be affected.
The trolls have a decent chance. I seriously doubt the Arcana Loth. I have a funny feeling that one's gonna be immune.
Yeah.
As smart and as demonic as it is.
Dang it. I had to redo that. Of course.
Hey, Wade, how's it going on your end?
Don't ask.
Oof.
Okay. And he will.
Oh, darn it! The trolls are immune. Not. There's just a second.
Which troll you talking? Well, one, you didn't hit all the trolls.
I hoped to, but no.
We got advantage on the attack roll. Damn.
Yes, he does. But due to my instrument, he has normal. Ha ha ha. But it probably yeah. See,
Was that an action or a bonus action?
For what?
Nothing.
It is
I
the
realized
Sewell's turn.
I realized I might have been able to use something. Nope, it's an action.
All right, cool. Well,
The good news is they're all in a line.
yeah, I was about to say they're all in a straight line.
Oh,
great.
I forgot.
If any of us had lightning bolt or such.
Let's see. Okay.
All right, let me know when I'm good to go.
Go ahead.
All right, I gotta see what's going on. Ah, shit.
So,
what that is.
I'm sorry. Let me back up just a second.
Uh-huh.
Wade, you did the chromatic orb, which was you chose fire, correct?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's all. Continue on.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, that thing. Hell in a handbasket. What's the hey? Okay, cool. So, okay, what he's got to do is come up here. See how this goes. Target, hit, 2 hit. That's Oshi. Azul is. Where'd I put Azul at? That's Loris. That's the Echo. Where'd Azul go? Oh, it's down there. All right, cool. He's gotta get hit by the Sword of Wounding, or at least there's gotta be a temp on that.
Okay.
Misses. Let's see. Serpent Strike thing. I'm a jig has a bonus action. I don't know what it's. I'm just gonna keep it basic for right now because I don't know what his there you go. Pop, and he's gonna use. Let's see.
Is any of our foes incapacitated?
No.
All right, let me get rid of the template.
Do. Need a. You can use the dash, disengage. Yeah, we're gonna use the disengage as the haste action.
Okay.
And he'll go back over here
Okay.
because he has plenty of movement speed. All right, Loris. They're in a straight line.
All 4 of them.
What do you think that does?
They're in a straight line.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
If you got a fireball, that would work too.
Oh yeah, there's a fireball in there for sure. Level 3.
Yeah, they're all in that narrow corridor. It's basically what it is. So, and you can see them all, too.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do
So,
it.
okay. Fireball. Laura's is hyper intelligent. He's not gotta drop the. What's the phone? Okay. Oh, that's what that is. Okay, cool. I'm gonna click on this thing. Consume a 3rd level spell slot. Yes.
So it should give you 78 plus 7.
So, well, I'll find out. I'm placing the template now.
So it's D6 is 8d6.
Oh
They give
my
you another
God,
level for free.
I rolled amazingly. I rolled 48 points of damage.
God damn!
And
3 6 yeah 3 6 5 6 3 6 4 4 2.
and they all failed,
Yeah.
Nice.
and 1 died.
Nice.
Okay, cool. Where do you want me to move your guy?
No, I've rebooted, tried to reboot, so it's you're my eyes, so put me in a good spot.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna put you at corner. That sounds good. There we go. Give some cover. Sound good
That
to
works.
you? All right. I'll
Yep.
put you in like the little alcove of the circle stairs, basically. And turn Xavier.
All right. Now that I'm actually healed up,
How you remove the template?
I am most definitely going to take my action and just be like, back in a bit, and fucking go invisible.
be back.
Let me see. However, that's my action. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a bonus. I don't have much in the way of a bonus action to do beyond that.
Dash?
Dash to where? I mean, if I'm gonna help engage these fuckers, I might as well be somewhat nearby.
Uh.
So, I guess that's turn. But I am invisible.
Okay.
Did you end your turn?
I did. Did it not go?
No. There it is. All right.
I thought I clicked it. All right.
All right. Cool. Move my guy right here. Bring back the token as a bonus action. Yeah. Let me put 1 hit point in him. Wait, no, that's not 1 hit point. Where's 1 hit point? I have him highlighted. All right, cool. Let's see. When I highlight him. All right. What just happened? But we're gonna do is. Let's see. Inventory. All right. Shift. Oh, what the hell? All right. Shift. Shift. All right. There's supposed to be another D20 in there. 1 second. I think the first roll was higher anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's and then again. Yeah. It works on this one. Sweet. All right. And that will end my turn. I rolled crap in terms of dice damage. All right, end turn. Tuga.
Well.
Radiant fireball.
Yeah.
Finish
Not
off
me.
the front one. Wisdom score sucks, so you probably could take it out with one of your pulls of the dead.
Oh, it's one of those. Yeah, it could. She go for a guarantee shot, which is a half saving throw. But I don't know what spell you have, Hannah. So.
Yeah, I didn't really change up what I had when I think we got the opportunity because I had a mixture of different spells already. So. Well. Think. Let's see. Yeah, all right. Oh, wait. There's. Where is it? Okay, that's what I wanted to check. Yeah, I'll try that. I think I'm gonna do Spirit Guardians.
Oh, you going for Spirit Guardians? Interesting.
Well, I was looking and I'm like, you know what? We've got a bunch of we've got like
I'm not knocking it. It's a good. It's one of my favorite spells. So
And Wade is back.
wait.
For now.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
No.
no.
Did it just? Did it just hit both of y'all?
Yeah.
What the fuck? No.
Put that back.
Yeah, just show my back.
I was okay.
That's hilarious.
It
Anyway.
asked me if I wanted to set a template, and I'm like, well, that'd be useful.
Do you want
But then
me
I realized,
to
wait.
reverse that damage for you all?
Yes,
That would be
please.
fantastic, please.
I didn't realize that it was going to target everything inside of it instead of. Okay. And I don't think it's centered on me. Then. Yeah, never mind then. Okay.
Don't let her fool you. She totally knew what it was going to do.
All right, we got. If you you can make an aura on yourself.
Yeah, I think I was like trying to remember how we did it last time.
I'll right click on your token, pop the thing. Yeah, pop the cog. It'll have auras,
Yeah.
and
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it show all is a thing, and put your distance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 15 feet, right?
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's 15 feet. Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for you.
How does the troll do against the 14?
Well, the aura is only if it starts its turn.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
we gotta wait till it get to its turn.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
I will attempt to figure out how I get rid of templates.
I finally figured it out. If you, the 90-degree square in your toolbar to the left,
Yeah.
how did it work? If you highlight that and
Oh.
then click on your template.
There we go. I was fiddling around and I was just like, I do not see it. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, I can handle a Sul in this turn order now. A lot easier. But you're fully back in, Wade. It looks like so.
I think, yes, it looks like I am.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know what all that
am.
nonsense was, but once I rebooted everything, it came up and ran.
And you sound smoother too. So.
Yeah.
And Tony's page that normally takes me like an hour and a half to load, loaded in like 10 seconds. So
Yeah. So yeah, I ran your character as best I could.
no, you did fine. I'm still
Fireball's
alive.
fun.
I'm still breathing. We're all good.
48 points of damage to four trolls was fun.
It's like borrowing someone's driver and hitting it further than they did. You got to stop doing stuff like that.
The chromatic orb didn't work out too well for me, so
Trade off.
yeah, like that was the trade-off. But yeah, it was a trade-off worth it. I'd rather do higher damage with a fireball than chromatic orb.
I hear you.
It is Gyrolin's turn.
Oh, it's my turn. Oh.
You have a nearly dead troll in front of you.
I don't deal damage.
You got badly injured. You got injured trolls behind that troll.
I think that this is the best choice I have.
Do I hear a web?
Yep, you do.
And white sticky stuff hits the hallway.
No.
What are we doing?
Web.
Oh.
No.
A bard's web, Wade. A bard's web.
What I thought you
No.
Anything else?
Wait, that was a spell. I don't have any
Someone's
spells.
got to take Dave's place while he's away.
All right, let's see if this one survives the holy aura.
Well, yeah, it's got to make its wisdom saving throw.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It takes 7
Wow.
points of damage.
Oh, right. It wasn't killed by fire.
Was hit by fire, but
Okay.
which one's all sticky?
Every step I think activates it. So
Yeah, but there's one that failed. Is currently restrained.
That's the one right up front.
This one or that one?
The nearly dead one.
the nearly dead
Oh.
one was not in the web.
Yeah, the nearly dead one's not in the web.
Oh,
It's these two right here.
okay. Then it's the one in the back.
All right,
Yep.
sounds good.
All right, and roll another dexterity save.
For which one?
Attack.
The one that just walked.
Because
He's
these
still in the web.
do have. These trolls are slightly different.
Mmm. They're evil.
All right, then it's restrained.
Okay.
Does it use and it'll use its strength to break free. I assume unless it's throwing a rock.
Is Azul's up now? Or I don't know.
Yes, Azul is up.
All right.
Does it try to use its action to break free, or does it
Let's see.
do something else?
Azul has
Right.
advantage on this, so
No,
let's see what I can get.
it's holding its action.
Oh, all right.
Oh, it's
Yeah. All right. Target acquired.
Since it knows that its buddy in front of it's likely
In the
going
way?
to die.
Yeah. Okay. Let me re-roll because he has advantage. I'm assuming a 23 hits.
Yeah.
All right. Crap. I wish I would have rolled again. Naturally, that was dumb on my part. What's this thing do? 1d6. 1d. God dang it. Is this a straight up normal? Yeah, it's magical. Blah 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 blah. Okay, cool. Plus 4. Cool.
What'd you hit him with?
And it's gonna be the short sword of wounding for 9 damage. And it's magical, and it stops healing, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it does, right, Wade? Like the short sword of wounding stops healing.
I believe so. Can you highlight his? Or maybe it doesn't. Hold on. That may just be additional damage each turn. I thought.
I don't see it in his page. That's why I'm asking.
Here,
Like
let
he
me-
doesn't have
Hang
the
on.
looking it up. Okay, one. Okay, okay. Hit points lost to this weapon's damage can only be regained through a short rest or long rest,
There you go.
than by regeneration, magic, or any other means.
There it is.
Yeah, once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack using this magical weapon, you can wound the target. At the start of each of its turns, it takes 1d4 necrotic damage for each time you wound it. So it stacks. Okay, so anyway. So it can get multiples. Alright.
All right. What's the
Cool.
runner-up come actions trigger?
Azul tends to play more
Oh yeah, that reminds me.
conservatively. So we're under the effects of haste. So what he's gonna do with the haste effect currently, he's gotta wait for other people to move in. So yeah, That's yeah. He's got to move again, but other than that, I'm gonna end his turn.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Yep, that's it. That multi-class monstrosity.
All right.
Wade,
Wait.
what you got? Show us what
All
you
right.
got.
Are those templates from my fireball?
Yeah,
One of
I
them
don't
is
know how
from
to
your
get rid of it.
One is from your fireball, one's from my web.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bigger one is the fireball.
Oh, wow. That. Ah, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Right.
So there's a guy up front there.
You have advantage.
I have advantage. I'm going to put a firebolt in here. Shift, or it might ask me. Let's see.
Yeah, I did alt, but
Alt.
yeah, I did alt. I've also did shift.
Oh, target. Done.
Tried alt. Let's see if
Oh.
it works.
There's that alt and a firebolt. Come on.
And then I hit alt when I clicked that, and it seemed to work, but
Oh, I didn't.
And
guess it was-
you-
It
and
hits.
hit, and 6 more, and total 20 damage. And he's under strain.
let's see what happens if you can pull off a
Fiery
crit.
damage.
Yeah.
So
Crit
he's
face. Nope.
okay.
No face.
He's gonna go ahead and use his action to get rid of the echo.
Attempt to.
Alright.
Yeah.
Yep, he is unrestrained now after he takes 20 points of fire damage.
Does it go disappear immediately or at the end of the turn? The
Hey,
whip,
Tony?
the whip thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it disappears immediately, it almost seems like.
Because I can do it, I've got 3 charges on the fulminating treatise. I will spend one of those. When one creature you can see takes damage from an evocation spell, which it just did, you can use your reaction. Ooh, reaction. Yeah, what the hell? Spend 1 charge and deal 2d6 of force damage.
Okay.
That didn't roll.
By the way, the echo's gone again.
Yeah, I figured it's one of those. If it was still restrained, it was disadvantaged, but it's
Right.
not. So
And then, so that's 8 additional points of force damage from 1 charge from the fulminating treatise.
Okay.
And knock it prone if it's large or smaller. Can't tell me squares. He's just large, isn't he? Actually, is it to our advantage to knock him prone?
no one's really using range attacks right now.
There you go. I'll knock him prone then.
Okay.
You're the only one that's kind of using range attacks right now.
Got it. And I'm done with my turn.
Okay.
Xavier.
Invisible.
You're damn right. All right. Pretty
Advantage stab. Woo, stiff.
much. 5, 10.
You know you can go through people. So
Yeah, but it would have used the same amount of movement.
okay, yeah.
Let's see. Okay. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Do I get advantage because I'm invisible
You get
or
advantage.
because he's prone?
Both.
Technically, yes.
You have advantage.
All right, cool.
He may be able to see you. We don't know, but it doesn't really matter because he's on the floor.
Fair enough. Oh. Da-da-da-da. And we're going to target.
Oh, yes. I forgot.
Oh, thank God.
Yes, that first one was a nat 1 too.
That lucked out.
Does that
Oh,
go
I didn't even get to roll backstab.
sneak attack?
He hit it with fire, so it's.
That's true. Screw it. I want to roll sneak attack. Oh, I can't because he's
Sneak
dead.
attack.
God damn it.
Yeah.
All
He,
right.
you rolled really high on your damage to boot.
Oh,
Like,
why is your damage and splash combined?
Oh, because I've got the splash is because it's green flame blade. It's splashed onto the other target. Yeah, I'm not sure there. All right. And then shit. Trying to decide. No.
Wait,
Fucking, the furry is somewhere out there, and I don't want to fucking deal with that guy right now.
oh,
All right, I'm gonna.
Sorry?
Yeah,
the one that nearly fingered to him to death.
yeah, he fingered me. He fingered me real fucking good.
Wow.
He
Wow.
finger
Where's
blasted
Dave when
me.
you need him?
I'm right here.
Oh, the other
Yeah.
Dave.
Fuck it. No, I can make up for this shit. Fuck yeah. All right. Nope, I'm not gonna target myself.
so
All right.
this
I
I,
should've
episode,
said that.
this episode, not to be seen by your grandkids.
Nope.
All he was fingered.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25. All right, I'll do that, and that will be turn because I do not want to get finger blasted by a furry.
All right, cool. That thing's still restrained, right?
Yeah, as far as I know.
What, the one, the other one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the web's supposed to be still there, unless someone got rid of it.
Yeah, it only burns away the
Yeah.
target's mount. So yeah.
All right.
Except-
bonus that.
The web's already
Uh-oh.
been hit by fire.
It only
What?
burns the targets.
Yeah, it doesn't take it fully away. It just takes the square it got hit by.
Ah.
Yeah, that's the annoying bit for you. Sorry.
All right. There you go. So, pop. Okay, I don't need to be that close. Sorry.
You may even be in the web.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I can't see where the web is. I wouldn't have gotten that close. Let's see, I would have gotten. I think that's exactly where I need to be. Yep, that's where I would have been. Target. Select. Alt. Alt. That was supposed to be advantage. Let's hit that again.
Whee! Who's that?
All right, so I don't get what's going on. All right, cool. Keep on. Okay, that's gonna be 14. For some odd reason, using the echo does not give it its full strength. So 14, and
Yeah, that is weird. And I'm just like now going, wait, when did it raise to a D10?
there. Why you work now? And 16. So 30 points of radiant damage total. And turn.
Yeah.
Ooga,
Ooga.
ooga.
Sometimes I can get the advantage to work. Sometimes I can't. I have no idea what's going on.
Still with us, Tuga?
Anna?
You're up.
Oh my
Your
gosh,
turn.
it's actually my turn.
Yeah, yeah. It was speeding up because Eric no longer doesn't have to control 2 characters at once.
Yeah,
As well as trolls are
Like 3
dying.
characters at once.
yeah. Sorry, I I'm so used to it taking a while. I was like, it's not gonna be my turn for like a good minute or so, and was like, who are they waiting for?
Who is this Tuga clown and why isn't she going?
What's
Well,
going on with
I
it?
might need to turn down my music too, because it swapped to a louder song.
All right. So
All right. Okay. Sorry.
It's all right.
We just get to poke fun of you a little bit.
Yep. Oh, all right. Oh, that did.
All right.
That one was good as the last one.
No, it's better than the last one actually.
Oh, yeah.
Last one was 9.
I know.
Hell. This was not as hard as the last one.
well, that's because we haven't been blasted by the furry yet.
Well, I got hit by fireball. That.
Did you,
Oh, wait. Did I actually end my turn?
just out of weird spite, I want to ignore the portal, but we just can't.
One way to find out where the portal goes.
Does it do a restrained attack onto the echo, or does
Yeah.
it use its action to break the free?
Well, first it's gonna attack the Gumby standing next to it, cause it don't know any better.
Yeah. Okay. So it'll be at disadvantage. But at this, yeah, it's one of those, as you say, it doesn't know any better, but it doesn't realize it needs its action to break free. Web's a fun spell. The 17 still hits. So
Yeah.
wee, wee. Move it over here.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, here's
Now,
better.
does
Just
it
in
just
case.
have freedom of movement and it just immediately attacks?
Good.
Let's see.
Web.
Oh, that's right.
Ah, yes,
It's been a
some.
minute since it's taken fire.
Quiet. All right.
Belong.
Just because I don't think. Let's see. You know, we'll move.
It's basically right where the web starts, like right here.
Yeah.
Yep. And now I just want one bit of clarification from you.
Uh-huh.
What is the range of number 2?
Range number. Well, it disappeared.
I want to know, who does number 2 work for?
Hang on. He works for Captain Picard. Tale
Think about it.
of the renowned duelist. You make a melee spell attack. On a hit, the target takes force damage equal to 2 rolls of your bardic inspiration plus your charisma modifier. So, what's your question?
What's its range?
I was like 5 feet.
Or is it 30 feet?
No.
Well,
Well, says melee spell attack.
Thorn Whip is a melee spell attack.
Okay. What's the range on a Thorn Whip? Because it'd be whatever
15.
that is.
What? No, it says. I just wanted to so it is 5 feet, not the. You can use an action to choose one creature within 30 feet of you to be the target of the tail's effect.
Okay, that's the weird ass thing.
Hit.
So just confirm, is it 5 feet or is it 30 feet?
It's whatever. It's whatever you can hit with the melee spell attack that you choose.
What?
Because the way I read it, it's the target that you hit, because you have to hit it.
Yeah.
So whatever target you hit with a melee spell attack, whatever that range is.
If it's like spiritual weapon, which gives you a lot of range,
Right.
you can hit it with like spiritual weapon.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not that I'm casting something else to add onto it. It's just this is the action.
Okay. So what you're saying is you're not making you're not making a cantrip attack or a spell attack. You're just you're using your casting ability modifier to make an attack.
It's I'm using my feature, which is which by definitions is a melee spell attack, which just is the range 5 feet or 30.
Are you picking your target, Ben?
Kind of.
Okay.
I cannot
Well, that's
reach
what it says there.
Hang
I
on.
can.
Yeah, because the ability says what, like the main ability says one thing, but the specified role says something else. Is what it is.
It could be interpreted as I am summoning the spirit to deal the attack from 30 feet away, or am I channeling the spirit to attack at 5 feet?
Hang on.
Uh, oh. I feel like they didn't fish cook. They didn't fish cooking this bard.
I think I understand what they're trying to do here.
Okay. So. Hmm.
I think the bit at the top says that you can pick your target that is within 30 feet.
Yes.
And that's one phase of it. And then when you roll below, or do you choose?
Yeah, okay.
Do you choose one of the effects below, or do you roll it?
I rolled it in the past and had notes.
Follow you. So I think once
Okay.
you've designated your target, then the 1 through 12 take effect. So you can choose your target within 30.
No. It is. It's not that way. Well,
No.
because it affects both. There's things on here for both allies and enemies, so that wouldn't make sense. It's roll and then hold on to that until you can use it as an action.
Okay.
You can bonus action, roll to see which one it is, and then an action to actually utilize it.
And I agree with you up to that point.
Where's this bard? Spirits. This guy.
It's purely your interpretation.
Heart of Spirits Errata.
I just.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
And you roll. You roll on the table.
See, here's the thing I don't think matters, because You basically have to make the melee spell attack first.
Sure, I just cannot reach it with it, and I desire to use it if it is 30 feet, but if it's not, then I'm not.
If you can't reach it with your melee spell attack, then you can't use it.
Is the reach 30 feet?
No.
Okay,
No,
thank
no, no.
you.
Here. It's you must hit with a melee spell attack first.
No.
Yes.
Then what?
That's what it says.
I need to hit with it at what reach?
Okay.
Melee.
Your melee spell attack. What melee spell attack are you going to use?
Melee spell attacks by definition, unless otherwise stated, are 5 feet. The confusion is the ability says, if it's within 30 feet.
Right, but it says first you must hit with a melee spell attack.
Yeah.
That's the defining item.
Yeah, and that's the specified part right there.
I can never use this ability.
Yeah. If you have to be within 5 feet, basically.
Or if you have a melee spell attack, I mean basically a melee spell attack. As long as it's a melee spell attack, it's whatever range that spell attack is at.
Most of them will be
I don't understand what you're talking about here.
Can I try again?
Yeah, go for it, Wade.
Okay. The way I'm reading this, Ben will pick the target within 30 feet. That is the first step, and then rolls. Now he's got Tony targeted, and he goes in. He has to move in to use the second one. Yes, you have to be within melee to use the Tale of the Renowned Duelist.
Okay, so the range is 5 feet. Then okay, so
yes. That's the way I read it.
Okay, so my target has to be within 5 feet. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, you can designate the target, but to use that spell, yes, you have to be within 5 feet.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I just.
It's.
I don't understand what you guys are on about with you need to designate a target. It's not like that. You roll and then later you get to choose a target.
That is not how I read it.
Really?
Yeah, that's not how I read it either.
It says right there, you choose an action. As an action, you choose one creature you can see within 30 feet to be the target.
Yeah, that's what matters. The roll.
And then you roll.
You're focusing on the roll, and that's not what you should be focusing in on, Ben.
On what?
You keep saying, I rolled, and then it's you choose.
No, I roll. I choose a target. I mean, I roll for which tail I'm using. That's what.
Yes, but you still choose, and unfortunately, number 2.
I can't. I cannot choose. I have to roll for what it is, and then later I get to choose a target.
Okay, Ben, listen. You're not listening. It says you choose one creature. We're not saying you choose on the chart. It says you choose one creature.
Okay.
And then the roll. We're not talking about the roll at all. We're talking about the 30 feet, and then whenever it rolls, that's the next step of it.
It is rather complex.
That can't
It is.
work unless this is supposed to be I help my enemies.
No, because you could choose an enemy or you could choose an ally. Even with this damage thing, you could choose you're an ally to hit with this.
And then just never use it. All right.
Yeah, because when you roll, you have the potential of doing a healing.
Yeah, it's kind of a chaotic thing. It's a luck thing.
So all right, so I was doing it. I already bonus actioned for the second thing, and I retain the tail in your mind until you bestow the tail's effect or when you rest, which is where I'm confused.
Okay, so basically what you're supposed to do is you declare this ability, right, Ben?
Huh.
And as a you declare it as that you're gonna use this because let's see. No. You use a bonus action to expand one of your die.
Yes.
You roll on
Determine
it.
the tail. You
Yeah.
determine my tail, and then
Yeah.
you can
You hold on
use
to it.
and then you can use your action to choose a target.
Yes, but you don't. You can hold on to it.
Okay, I can hold on to it.
Yes, that's why. So you right now you don't have to expend it. You can still get close.
Okay. No, I can't get close. So all right.
As like right. Not. We're not saying right now. I'm just saying you can.
I'm
You
sorry.
can eventually get closer and use it.
I just wanted you to state that the range of number 2 is 5 feet.
Yeah. And it was. That's what he rolled.
All right. Thank you. Sorry. I just kept hearing other explanations that left me confused.
All right. Vicious mockery. And the troll's turn. That's dead.
Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep.
Oh, he's alive.
You got hit by fire.
A turn has passed since
Fire,
his last turn, where he died. A turn has passed. He gets to come back to life.
Does he? If the one that put him down was fire?
No, it's if he started his turn and he couldn't regenerate while at 0, he doesn't come back.
But he's not in fire right now.
It's when he takes the fire damage initially.
But a turn has passed. You haven't dealt with the troll body yet.
So okay, you're going with burn the body.
All right, so he's back.
Wait, time out. Which one was that one? Just so we know.
The one on top, furthest north, close to us.
Um, is he
Okay,
currently
one of those
squeezed?
can't come back because of the sword of wounding.
I thought it only cannot. It lowers its maximum health, not.
Sword of wounding. It says it has to take in order to be able to regain hit points. It has to take a short or long rest.
All right.
And it specifically mentions regenerate.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything hit with the sword of wounding cannot regenerate.
You wounded. Alternatively.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, the one that died from the fireball, did it ignite on fire as well?
Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
It just says that the damage done by that weapon can't be regained. It doesn't say all damage.
So it lowers its maximum HP.
Right.
All right. Let's see. Interesting. The second half of that first sentence says he can't regenerate. Magic or any other means. That's my argument on that, because it specifically talks about regeneration.
Okay, but the very first thing it says is hit points lost to this weapon's damage.
Okay, so 1 second then. And so you're saying its maximum hit points keeps dropping, right?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone remember how much the hit points were?
You mean how much damage from those?
Yeah, that from the sword of wounding.
Yeah, it should be
Scrolling
here in the.
Scrolling up. It took 11 plus because it's the start of the turn. 2, so like 13. So its maximum hit points is down by 13.
Right.
Could we have had Xavier's green flame blade actually jump because there was a present target?
I'm sorry, Ben. What was that?
Could Xavier's blade, green flame blade, have jumped, or did he have to have realized the situation?
No, the problem is when I jumped, it has to be within 5 feet of the target.
There was a corpse next to you. That's why he's asking.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, the other thing is I think everybody except for the topmost guy is back in the web.
Yes, every single one of them except for top guy,
All right.
and they can't stand up because their movement's 0.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
if they failed the deck save.
Well, they're all prone as well.
Yeah, and they were unconscious, so they all failed the death save. The deck save.
Interesting. So, are you going to use your actions to break free? Because I think you'll be able to do it pretty easily since it's a strength.
Okay.
Yeah, they're.
So let's see.
Is it a
No.
strength save or a strength check for web?
It's a strength check for it after when moving. It's a dex save.
Oh, it's a dex. But to break free.
Is strength.
Yeah, so it's not even a saving throw. It's just strength. All right. Yeah, because
check.
that's real important. Because removing proficiency is important.
Strength check of 15, I think. Wait, no, 16. Forgot about my.
16, 9. Okay.
Yeah, they're all still caught up in the
Oh,
web.
wow. Interesting. All right.
A moment we randomly hear the cat behind you.
Everyone run away so these all can get fireballed.
Pretty much. We need to light these things on fire. Anyone got some oil?
I've got all kinds of fire.
Azul's turn. Where the hell is he at? There he is. All right, cool. Advantage. He has no rogue in him yet, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. All right. Let's get another roll on that.
I filled my gas bag at some point. Oh well.
There we go.
It was different.
All right. So that first one took 9, and he's still up. So he'll take another hit. I can't get the freaking. Crit fish.
Most.
No, near crit, but not quite. So, all right. It has a number of marks on it. So it's
What does it take to remove those?
Con saving throw at the end of their turn, I think.
All right.
But it's kind of hard to do that when you're unconscious, so that's or technically dead.
So at the start of their turns, do they take 2d4? Will they take
That
2d4?
one would take. Yeah, that one's got to take 2d4 on top of its turn at the start
So
of
there's
its
a
turn.
chance that it'll just continuously try to pick back up and then fall back down.
Yeah, it depends.
I hit him with a fire shot.
And he's gonna move back. And after that, the turn will end. Alright. We're gonna need some fire. Don't suppose you got like wall of fire in your back pocket?
I don't. I also heard a warning from our DM that we got a big fight coming on the way out of here, and we're probably not going to get a long rest. So I'm holding on to spell slot.
This is the big fight.
Oh, this is the big fight.
Fucking end them with fire, wall of fire. I will take the hit. Just do it.
Elemental stride.
You got wall of fire to drop on these people. I will take the hit willingly.
I don't have wall of fire.
Amazonal stride?
Oh.
It's in my spell book, but I don't have it ready.
Oh, right. Sorry.
All right, I got something for this. So if this is the big fight, then yes, we shall invest in another fireball.
So
no.
that thing's maximum health has gone down by 20 plus whatever the 2d4 is.
I cast fireball. Suck my dick, barbarian.
Oh, no.
I'm not barbarian.
Iron Hall.
Ah, fuck.
Not bad.
I'm making a 6
Well,
save.
there goes all the web. And also, all of them, 3 of them take 2d4. 2d4.
Bullshit.
Normal roll. I'm gonna have to choose to succeed this bitch.
Hold on.
Yep.
Where? I don't
choosing
see you guys.
speed.
Hold on. Where are you guys? I don't see you on my map.
We're underneath the
Technically they're on top of the trolls.
Oh.
Standing on top of the trolls.
Yeah, because we were standing on top of their corpses and somebody got up.
I couldn't see that.
Yeah, that's
oh my
one thing I
gosh.
don't like about this is I can't set the level of the tokens.
You could technically shift that thing down a little bit and not hit Tuga.
If any of them are living, they take another 2d4.
Well, shit. Hold on. I don't think I would have fired.
It's all right. I don't think anyone went down. You got them
What
all.
was the grand total? What was the grand total of it?
37.
18. I think I add 18 because I'm choosing to succeed.
All right.
Oop.
Yeah, no. All right. So, yeah, it's all right. All of us saved.
We'll start parting heads from
Not
next.
all of us saved.
Oh, I forgot how close you. I forgot that you were.
I guess my question to you, Wade, would you have moved it lower so you wouldn't hit Tuga?
Well, to be honest, had I known you guys were there, I wouldn't have used a fireball. That's what I was saying. I couldn't see your tokens.
Right. We're
I guess
all
that's
on
what I
the
looked at.
left side of them, so that's
I
why we're
will-
talking about wall of
I
fire.
will let you guys choose. Do you want to proceed with the fireball, or do I need to reverse the damage? And Loris can do something
It's up to
else.
It's up to Loris, really.
Yeah,
Reverse.
yeah, that's
I
up
don't
to you,
put
man.
fireballs in the party. That's not me. That's not my game.
Okay,
Alright.
cool.
Hang on. Give me a minute to back all this
Undo.
up.
That's weird. You can't right click and move them to the front or the back on your tokens.
Can I right click myself?
I
to
have
actually-
not found a way to do that yet.
Crazy.
Should we be shoved aside by their suddenly moving?
Let me
Point
try.
out-
Let me try one thing. See if
Yeah.
this works.
Also, I would point out, Wade, if you decide to drop that fireball, you could drop it south of me, and hit the 3 that aren't down. If you
No,
want to aim it in a different way.
That's a good point. Put it down south of you and get those 3. Yeah.
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 So So that's what he's got. That's what he's gonna do. He's got he's got to re-aim it.
This
Yeah.
is this is the line it's only trolls that get hit.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll shift my fire to the south, Tony, and put that on those bottom three, avoiding whoever the hell it is. Is that
I'm gonna have you re-roll that then,
okay?
because that will potentially have a different outcome, of course.
Right.
No doubt.
Yeah. So yeah, you could drop it like
Mhm.
down here and hit all three of them, I think. And that's not my character.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right
I
here
want
is the farthest south character.
It starts doing a whole bunch of math.
to. Oh, I like that roll better anyway.
Well, I guess I get to save a point from my ring. So it's still trying to say it hits me. You might want to put it a little bit lower.
Really?
No, that shouldn't hit you.
It's saying it's hitting me, but we all understand what you mean. So
Yeah.
I just put the hit points back.
All right, and the bottom one takes another 2d4.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's 4 more fire damage. And web is completely gone. Woo!
Yeah, we need to light these things on fire, like continuously.
Okay.
You know what? Let me look at something, Tony. I might be able to finish that bottom one off. Let me see how this is worded. When a creature you see takes damage from an evocation spell, I will use my reaction, and Mr. I'm on the south and still alive gets an additional 2d6 of damage from the fulminating treatise.
Okay.
Oh damn! 8.
Another 8 points of force.
Okay.
Ooh, okay. Is the burning web anything close to burning oil?
Uh-oh. I think that fireball got somebody else.
My
I didn't
echo.
ask you how big the room was. I said I cast fireball.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
it only.
you technically got my echo, but my echo's not even on the field. So
Yeah, no.
Yeah. All right.
Fireball wins again.
Xavier, you're up. Unless
You need to hit this-
Loris, you got anything else?
I am good to go.
Just another
I mean, we need to take off its heads.
knowledge of oil of trolls. Do we need to literally completely incinerate them, or do we just need to burn their wounds?
So the last and final damage has to be fire.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
So-
right.
So the bomb one needs to be burned because the last damage was force.
All
Right.
right.
Yes.
But
The
I'd
south
like to. You want me to go all the way to the south one?
Yes.
Yes, and green flame blade it.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. All right, I can boogie.
Yep. I mean-
Is moving past the corpses going to count as rough terrain?
Yes.
Not that far of a distance. A dash should get you there.
I've already used 15. Let's see.
You see
That's
what
what-
I see?
Yes, and I don't like it.
Oh,
No.
All right. That's apparently 35 with dash because it was 15 and then 10 and then 10. Dashing. 10,
BRB.
20. 30. Can I get there with the second 35?
Yes.
Okay, and would that count enough to use green flame blade to try to take this fucker's head off?
Sure.
All right. Oh yeah.
Now, does green flame blade actually do fire damage?
Yes.
Okay. Just checking, otherwise you'd be fighting potentially 2 trolls.
I wish I didn't use it on a dead body.
All right. Anything else? By the way, you're starting to feel a little crispy.
It's a
Because
tiefling.
it's getting extraordinarily warm in this room.
No,
Yeah, because there's a gigantic fuck off.
Oh, hello.
There's a legendary creature to the south, everyone. We need to go.
Oh, is that a frickin'...
We need to go, doll.
Does that... If need to go run away, or are you saying rush it?
Are we talking like get the hell, like go back the way we came? Do we want to go back down the stairs?
I mean, has this thing stepped through the portal yet? I guess that's my first question.
Not completely yet.
Turn it off, 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 turn it off.
Alright, well, let's get someone with counter... or... I guess it's dispel magic at this point.
I don't have magic for that.
Oh,
Plus,
of course, you just used your action.
Yeah.
well, action and bonus action.
Yep.
Shit,
Tuga.
shit.
Yeah.
Do we see a, like, portal runes that could be possibly destroyed?
Yeah, and the circle around it.
Okay.
So you're saying, like, around here? Basically?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Let's see.
Let's see what happens. Boink.
Okay.
We're testing this out. Let's see what happens when that thing boinks right there. And this is why we have the crash test dummy.
Oh yes, your echo, the crash test test dummy.
Okay, you may proceed.
It's got, I don't know, it's got to try destroying the engravings or runes or whatever.
Okay.
All right, cool. Is it like written or engraved?
So right now it looks like it's written, but the text is glowing.
Let's hit it with let's. I feel like I should hit it with a holy light. Does that sound good to everyone?
I can think of worse ideas.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We're gonna hit it with the sun sword. You let me know what I need. Is this like at advantage? Is it a straight roll?
Oh, this will not be an advantage.
Alright.
This will be a straight roll at minimum.
Alright.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
Actually, you'll be rolling at disadvantage.
Is there a condition because of it? That's all I need to know.
Yes.
Okay. What's the condition so I know? Because my echo's immune to pretty much all conditions.
Oh, no, not that kind of condition. I'm the condition of disrupting the basically the attack.
Okay, so you said disadvantage?
Yes, it is a disadvantage.
Let's.
Because you basically are walking through an aura of fire to get there.
Oh.
Okay. Burn. It's got to burn. Okay, I need something to hit, basically. So that's the problem. Let's just do this. This will be easier.
If you click on the square, you can attack the square.
Oh, okay. Oh, sweet. Not working.
Really?
Why aren't you clicking? Click.
Make sure it's
Click.
a targetable thing. It is a targetable thing. Click
Okay,
on
there's the bail.
red quarters. Yeah.
Okay, that's a target. That's a target. I'm gonna move him closer just to see what happens.
Okay.
Nope, not letting me attack it. I'm just gonna roll 2d20s to see what happens first.
Okay.
The low number was a 9.
Okay.
So I think that's at least a 19 to hit. 1 second. 19 to hit.
That will
Yeah,
actually
19 to hit.
miss.
All right, let's go for it again. That's 3d20. Oh, that's a lot better, isn't it? Not much better. On my screen it was a 12. On this thing it says it's 10. 20 to hit.
Still a miss.
Yep. All right, cool. That's all I can do. Y'all gotta have to turn this off the old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned way or the new-fashioned way?
But you know what? No, I'll save that. I'll save that. Okay, cool. I am going to step back because new. And I'll move Echo back as well. Okay. That will end my turn.
Okay. Tuga, you're up.
Not supposed to have this spell in your back pocket.
Not dispel.
Oh no.
I'm guessing it interferes with the interfere with magic thing is going to be a huge issue.
Oh, what now?
No.
No, I'm just saying there's not a lot of ways to close a portal.
True. Yeah. That is spooky. Oh, I have targeting on. Okay. Well. Sorry, it's like, spell attacks are not probably a great idea right now, but that's what I tend to reach for.
Someone move me forward. I cannot I measured and I'm just like, I can't. I have dispel magic, but I cannot. Will not be able to walk far enough to see it.
A giant glowing thing.
Will I be able to see it from here?
Everyone can see it from straight on. I don't think that's there because the trolls were walking all over it.
Or is it just that they're vertical and we're standing on that space? Or has the statue disappeared?
You know what? I'm just gonna.
No, the statue's on a different level.
Oh, it's on a different level? Oh, alright.
Yeah. You have to go down to get to the statue.
Am I allowed to cast Sacred Flame on the thing?
Are you targeting the portal or the beast?
The beast. I'm not. Spacey today.
I mean, you can cast it. Let me see.
Yeah.
Radiance. The target must succeed or take radiant damage. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would be aware that yes, you can hit it with the Sacred Flame.
Yes. Okay, because I was like, it's kind of like on top of the portal right now. So.
Okay.
Oh, okay. It untargeted itself. Okay. Or I bumped it. I don't know.
DC 14 Dex.
Yep. Hey. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. Alright. Gonna play, wait and see. Other than just like.
Not that. It's more of see than wait at this point.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I'm sure someone's
Ah.
gonna get through. It's bigger than the trolls were.
Your echo is vaporized.
Okay, now.
And let's see.
Keep them right there for right now.
Come on.
Actually, I'll move them out of the way.
Why aren't you loading?
Really?
There we go. Okay. Okay, one attack with his longsword on Xavier.
He can see me?
He can.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really powerful being that has all those true sight things.
You ever felt like Frodo in the Nazgul?
Well, at least you have fire resistance.
You have fire
That's not
resistance.
the issue. That's not the issue.
Oh, he has lightning. All right.
Yeah, if you look at that sword that he has on his left hand.
All right. Did I block that?
Would that make your AC?
21. God damn it. Otherwise, I would have
Nope.
used uncanny dodge. Fuck.
Well.
Yep.
If you just counted it.
Yeah.
No, that's-
Damn it. All right.
Okay.
We needed to go home.
Oh wait.
He doesn't like Aoshi, the looks of Aoshi, so Aoshi's getting whipped.
There we go.
That's a miss.
I would rather that hit towards Xavier than Orion taking a 22.
All right. And let's see. I think that'll be his turn for now.
Did he take damage from that Sacred Flame? Thank God.
He did.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's why he's barely injured.
Well, it does open up other, like, higher damage things for some things.
All right. Panicking and hoping for the best, I cast protection from good and cast protection on good and evil on Ayoshi.
That
And
will
run,
come in handy.
and run the frick away.
Still destroy the portal now?
You need to get
Well,
the fuck out of there.
It's
Yeah. Speaking of the portal, the portal
great.
is closed.
Yeah, that was what they were trying to bring in.
yeah, we just
Eric, you still figuring out what a soul's gonna do?
That's right, it is me. Fuck.
Sorry.
He sees over here. Yeah. What does he possibly have? He doesn't exactly have a whole lot that he can deal with this situation, unfortunately.
with how he
Management?
described. My only thing is now realizing that he has a radiant aura of damage. Is Aoshi going to run in or just run away?
When have you actually seen Aoshi run into anything?
Well, your clone immediately dies when he approaches.
Well, remember, it died at the start of
Yeah.
the critter's turn.
Oh, darn it! I should have cast that on someone else then.
Hey, Tony, what kind of damage did I take from that sword?
Lightning.
Yeah. And as a side note, it's still taking swings at me, so
No, I
will
got
come in
that. The only
handy.
reason I ask is because I have fire resistance.
No,
Yeah, it's 3d8 lightning damage and
All right.
3d8 slashing damage.
Okay.
Yeah. Shit. This is not. But it's how much movement does he have left? Oh shit.
Draw the bow and start shooting.
Yeah, I mean he could try that, but we all know how that will. We'll try the bow.
Yeah, let's see those 2 shots because you still don't you?
The target, because I don't think he would get near this thing, would he, Wade?
Not likely, not unless he had to.
Yeah.
Has Azul lost concentration on haste?
He hasn't been touched.
Yep. All right, good. Just double checking.
After the first shot, you begin to realize it's not taking any damage from the bow.
Oh right, non-magical. Damn it.
Yep. So. DD. Yeah, I mean that'll be it. He He's gonna have to get up close to it. He has no choice if he wants to do any damage. But that will end his turn. He's not gonna willingly get up there right now.
What to do? What to do? The hell does that say?
So that fiery aura activates at the start of his turn.
It inflicts its damage at the start of its turn.
Gotcha.
All right. It's the long shot. I am going to target him. He is within range, and I'm going to put a mind sliver on him.
Ooh.
Okay.
A whopping 3 points of damage.
Oh yeah.
Wait a minute. I thought that was a save. It is a save.
Yep, he failed. He took it. What else does it happen to it?
So,
Yes.
in addition to the stunning 3 points of psychic damage, its next saving throw before the end of my next turn, it subtracts a d4 from it.
Okay.
I think I just threw a pebble at a mountain. That's shockingly
Mountain
all I
man.
can do. So somebody throw a big saving throw at it. Otherwise, I'm going to try something.
What? I'm just like, what saving throw would even be useful?
Something probably not elemental.
Sorry, I'm done.
I'm just like, conditional is my thing.
You need to get your ass out of there, Xavier.
Bonus action, disengage, and run, run, run.
You muted if you are there.
Yep, sorry, my bad.
Sorry.
I'm trying to decide if I want to get a hit in.
You got mobile?
It's close. I have fancy footwork. Damn near the same thing.
Yeah. It's on fire.
It's got no. That's true. It's on fire, so I'm sure he's probably got fire resistance, just like
Not
me.
even just, yeah, I mean, not even just that. It's
Resistance?
my
Yeah.
yeah. Remember, my echo got disintegrated.
All right,
Just by being near it.
I'm still invisible. Does
Oh no, he sees you.
okay? So I still get my sneak attack, so I'm still gonna take a swing at him
Wait, why do you have sneak attack?
Because he's by
because
they're
no
one on
one's
one.
with. Because oh fuck! Now I'm mixing up my rogues. God damn it!
Oh yeah, no, that's right. You're thinking of Dave's game.
Shit. Fuck it. Plan B then. Bonus action. Disengage.
Bye, Felicia.
No, I got a plan. So bonus action. Disengage.
If you're nice, you run not towards us. Actually, maybe the smart option to run away from us.
Yeah. There is that.
That was bonus action. That was movement. Oh fuck it. Might as well get a pot shot in. I'm going down swinging.
Scatter in case he fireballs us or something even worse, which I expect, but all I know is fireball.
Wait, why isn't that casting? Hold on.
We have enough OP, ridiculous shit to kill a. I don't know what. I forgot what to call it.
I was looking to cast magic missiles at it.
Ah.
So,
Yeah.
if you put your cursor over the icon for Magic Missile,
Yeah.
it should show a die.
Yeah, it shows a D20.
Click on that.
I did. and nothing's popping up.
Is that saying expend spell slot? Blah 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 blah.
It is not asking for that, which it normally does when I cast spells.
Hmm.
No longer your turn? No, it's still on your turn. Okay, good.
Yes, 'tis a little weird.
Is it behind a window that you have open? Because mine
Checking
get locked.
again? Nope.
Hmm.
It's done. I have seen that before. It just it's fucking weird, Jerry.
Okay, let me try it real quick.
Yeah, sure.
See if I can get it to work. Okay, he's targeted. Are you trying this from the wand?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll work.
Alright, so what I did is if you click on it, there's a button underneath that says use wand of magic missiles. Do you see that?
Hold on. There we go. Yes.
That's what you have to do.
Okay. You want me to click it now, or do you want to go with what we already rolled?
I'll leave it up to you. I'll give you the option of.
You know what? I'm cool with 13. That's a good roll.
Okay. And then anything else you want to do?
No, I mean that's action, bonus action, and movement.
Okay.
Quasi invisible. I just can't hide for free action. So, all right.
There
Someone
she.
banish this fucker.
Nope, need to close you out. We can't. This is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. I'm particularly good and evil on me, right? So,
Yes.
all right.
Yes, you do.
Action. God damn it, that's an action. Yeah, might as well.
Mm. No choice.
This guy fucking suck. Actually,
Hmm?
yeah, I'll do that.
What are you up to?
Pain,
Pain? Okay.
pain, and I'm about to take a step back or two as well.
We can only hope that I hope that you have banishment. Or wait, what level is that?
Well, you might actually be able to rely on that. Just hopefully, he doesn't roll well.
At least he has a D4 less.
Yahtzee. That's what we're
Yep.
looking.
Pain, pain.
Yeah.
Pain. At least I'm incarnation. I'm using it. All right.
This would be that time to use that.
Yeah, I used it.
Okay.
Yeah, not much choice. Not much choice. I'm burning everything, y'all. Every last little bit.
Okay.
Literally.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me burn my features off real quick. That's Unleash Incarnation is gone. Boom.
I mean,
Yep.
all right.
I think I still have action surge. Yes.
We hope to kill it if it fails, if it succeeds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna burn everything into this guy. Hey everyone.
Okay.
I got one incarnation
There
left.
you
Natural
go.
20.
Make him eat shit.
Does he cancel it?
Well, yeah, because if banishment fails, I can only use it once.
Yeah. Okay. Where's the roll at? Roll. Come on. Give me
Tails.
some decent.
Radiant.
There we go. What's that say?
Maximum damage.
From your normal damage die, then roll. So we'll take the damage you already
Those two
rolled.
together. Yeah, those
I'll-
two together. That
So
makes
And
sense.
now,
what's the max you can take?
Let's.
Eight,
that would be
10,
just add another
17.
8. Yeah, just add another 8 to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would be 22 on that hit.
Nice.
Well. Let's see. Well, additionally, the creature glows for the next minute while glowing produces a light. All successful against attacks dealt against this creature deal additional 1d4 radiant. So
Oh.
after this point, it deals additional 1d4 radiant.
For
Also,
how long?
it doesn't
it does
say.
not have a limit.
While glowing.
Yeah. A minute. It
Oh,
lasts
for
a
next minute. So 10
Yeah.
rounds.
Yeah, 10 rounds. So everyone that hits it, it deals. What is it?
And
Yeah, all attacks. That means spell attacks and
Yep. All
and
attacks.
melee attacks for all attacks. Yeah.
Get an extra
So,
D4.
Yep. And on top of that, that's not who I need. Divine Smite. Plus
Oh.
2 more because it's a crit hit.
Does divine?
Or does it deal the Okay, so no, that would be 19 for that because of the maximum damage on the original roll. So 19 additional radiant damage.
Okay.
So that is
How does
44 points of damage. All right, cool.
Nice.
That was my first attack of action surge.
All right.
Come on, roll another nat 20.
Oh my gosh!
Fuck yeah. Kick his ass, see ass.
All that clean living.
I mean, do you guys still want me to attempt banishment?
Yes.
Yes. For all we know, he has regeneration.
Not normally. There's a meta knowledge. Not normally. Okay, so I'm like, I'm trying to be good. That's all you hear from him. I'm trying to be good.
So roll your next
Fucking-
crit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to do things. I'm
As
trying to do-
normal, and the creature is frightened until the end of...
Probably immune.
I think it's immune to that.
I think so.
Or if it's
too.
not, not that it really matters one way or the other. Okay, cool. And it takes an additional D4 because a D4 damage because of that glow it has.
Yes.
Dude.
So that's 19 on top of. So that's additional 2, and I got one more.
Oh my gosh.
You got a
I
smite
got
in
one
there?
more.
No.
Eric, did you put a smite in on that crit?
I got no more spell slots.
Ah, I missed that
I'm
part.
a level 2 paladin. I think.
You-
Yeah.
you have-
No, I got 2 spells. I got 2 spells.
You'll give me a level 3 slot if you want one.
Yeah,
You can
well,
have
but
one.
at the same time, it doesn't matter because I'm not gonna waste it on that since I didn't get double the dice on it. So, okay, cool. Well, I'm back over here. I'm popping this. That's the last one, y'all.
Kick his ass. All right, all right.
Another D4.
Yep.
Woo. Woo. Is We may actually
Sorry.
create
I actually underdid it. I'm sorry. I forgot this is a fiend. That the damage dice went up on because it's a
Yeah.
fiend.
I thought you said 48.
Okay, cool. Add an additional 13 points of radiant damage to that because it would have been 3. It would have been 60, not 4. It would have been 68, not 48. So additional,
Oh,
yeah, 13
Jesus.
points.
Okay.
wow.
Is it still up?
Wow. Yes, it is. It's a bad.
Buy a
But it
last
went
spell.
from like barely
Buy
injured
that-
to badly.
Yeah, buy a last spell slot.
As it should be. You threw all your resources into this turn.
and a last little dish for an additional 5 radiant damage.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. Not much else I can do about it though.
No, you did too much. Almost too much, it almost feels
Yeah.
like.
I just like roar at him like, bring it, and then.
All right.
I
Eric, are you hearing John Williams music?
Duel of the Fates.
All right, let's see if it just chooses to fail the saving throw just so it goes home.
All right.
This guy.
out of here.
Yep.
literally have a lightsaber fighting another dude with a lightsaber and a fire and a light and a
That's what I'm talking about, man.
lightsaber whip.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Closer. Take one step closer. Take one step closer.
Why one step
Yeah,
closer?
True. Because I did not lose concentration. Because I didn't get hit with that fireball. So,
There you go.
yeah.
What? What do you mean?
Guardians, spirit guardians.
No, Spirit Guardians is gone because banishment's a concentration.
She has to focus on it. She never got to focus on it.
That doesn't matter.
Well then don't take one step closer and get back until you can do spirit guardians.
Okay.
That's that may be true.
All right, Tuga.
Anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much what I can do on this turn.
I gotta look
Are you
at the
gonna
protection.
run away?
Actually, I would step back if I'm allowed to. DM, I would have stepped back if I didn't realize. I thought she still had spirit guardians up. I would have taken a step back
No,
if you let me do it.
You had Spirit Guardians. She
Ah.
had Spirit Guardians.
Oh,
when
she
you-
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until banishment.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Never mind. I say foot.
Okay.
Take a few steps back. That is a good point.
All right,
This
Bailiff.
is the first time she's ever done this.
Taking a. All right, let's see those disadvantaged swings, or are you jumping right past him and after Tuga? Oh, and first the echo immediately explodes.
Okay, why is that not rolling? Alright, standard roll.
Can you hear it playing?
What's supposed to be playing?
Got it playing in the background. Duel of the Fates.
Damn it, I was doing that too.
When did you guys start putting that on? When I started hitting it over and over?
Oh wow, 9.
Okay. Wait, I'm not looking at the screen. What's going on?
You took 9 fire damage.
Okay. Ow.
As did
Let
the...
me- Yeah, he's gone. That doesn't matter.
I'll just
That's understood.
move him
Understood.
over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's from the aura. Now he's going to kill Aoshi.
He has
Okay,
disadvantage on
just-
all his attacks.
Yes. Unless he just automatically has advantage, then he's swinging normally.
That is a true statement. Okay.
It's a long sword hit.
Yep.
It's just
What? What? I always forget how ridiculous your armor class is.
full plate, baby.
Magical full
Assuming that
plate.
doesn't hit.
Yeah, it does not.
Dude.
Gotta.
Come
Wait,
on.
what's yeah?
Tell him. Is that what Tuga said? Go back to the shadows.
Go back to the shadows.
He's always in light.
There we go.
Oh, yep.
Kinky.
Whip.
Beats it, eh?
Hey, will not. I will stop that.
Okay.
Wait,
Actually,
how?
I'm gonna cast shield and make my AC 30.
How you casting
Dude.
shield? How you casting shield?
I have my ways. You see the gauntlet glow, that the
Oh, right,
gauntlets
right.
of Gakis, and a shield bops up above. So
You
I
mean your...
add. My AC is currently 30.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Does anyone else hear Stewie's voice every time the word whip comes up?
Cool whip.
Whip, whip.
Stay
Dude,
cool.
Why
Cool.
are you putting so much emphasis on the H?
Yep.
Okay.
So-
let's see. Uh, let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna do that.
Bad idea, Tony.
Oh, what's gonna happen? Oh no. Oh, he can
Ah,
pierce walls,
fuck.
eh? Ah, he just flew right through the
You can
walls.
still do
Alright.
that. Damn it.
I told you, Tony, that's a bad idea. You don't want to do that.
Alright, so it's my turn.
Did he just
Alright.
run away from me?
No,
All right.
he's picking juicier targets to flame.
Can I... Do I need to be here to have advantage on a melee attack?
No, you have advantage where you're at.
Alright then. Let's... Show us your pristine blade. Show us your... show us your proficiencies. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, yay, force damage.
Juicier targets. Oh, by the way, he takes.
An additional D4.
Yep, additional 1 point radiant damage.
Yeah.
Oh, right click on it, right?
Okay.
Alright, twice and add them together. Roll another D.
Oh, he gets another D4 because of that.
No, it doesn't.
Part of the
Or
attack
does it?
roll.
Okay, so
It's part of the attack roll.
so 2d8. No,
There you go.
2d. Alright.
There you go. 10 more damage.
Another 7 force damage.
And 3 more radiant.
Nice.
Alright, and no, I don't think that'll help at this moment, so I'll just hold my position, as ridiculous as that is, and instead roll again. Use my bonus action to roll on my chart again. And that's my turn.
Okay. Soul's up.
Got all the use I wanted from that.
Erica Soul's up.
Alright. He's gonna he's got to jiggle around a bit. So pop, 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 pop. Yeah, he goes around obviously, but he also
Sure.
has 80 feet worth of movement.
Right.
So, yeah, he wanted flanking, and that's what he's getting. Okay. Inventory.
Wow.
All right, that's one hit.
Wait, no, that's what I should have done. I'm a fool. I shouldn't have went. I'll use the attack now. I
8,
should've-
and he's got to spend a key point because he's that high enough. I don't know where his key point's at. He's got one last key point.
Flurry of
Burn
blows.
it.
He is going to take the. He's got to take the dodge action.
Okay.
All right, and that's it.
All right, Loris.
You got someone real near you right now.
Mm-hmm. I noticed.
Loris, do you just run away or what?
Hide and
Fire-
watch. I am
Rouge.
going to. Where is it? There it is. Do I want to do that? Yes, I want to do that. Why am I even asking? I am going
Sorry,
to.
and both those hits he takes 2d4 radiant damage
Okay.
for additional 6 on top of what he just did.
Okay.
Misty Step. I thought a template usually popped up.
It doesn't.
Oh,
Sometimes it does.
You just click where you want to be. That's what Dave always tells me.
you know, I want to be somewhere that's not here. I want to be right there.
Nice.
He's like, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I want to have options. I thought
Well,
about the other corner, and I thought if that big bastard gets in front of me, I'm going to be stuck in this corner. When I
well,
get,
bye.
Um,
I'm
now,
going.
did it... Yeah.
When I get there, I'm going to put a chromatic orb on him. I
Oh, yeah.
think I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it acid
Okay.
because I'm sure fire does nothing. He's likely resistant to cold. I don't know about lightning. I'm going to do acid.
No. Unfortunately, you can. Misty Step is a spell, unless that was an.
Oh yes. Good call. Thank you.
Nice. Well, what? Yeah, you got your good old mind sliver.
Mind Sliver or Ray of Frost if he isn't resistant to it or
We're gonna make
immune
the
to
assumption
cold.
he's so hot that cold doesn't do
I'm gonna
much to him.
some Mind Sliver. I'm sure he's at least resistant to.
That hurts me.
Hey, that gets a D4.
If it
Yes.
hits. It
Well-
doesn't hit.
It does not hit.
No, that's a save. That doesn't get the D4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's also it's an attack. Yeah. No save. Not save. It's got to be a roll to it.
All right. Damn the luck. So that has no effect other than I am not in his immediate reach. So there we go. All penny.
Okay.
I'm assuming you don't want to get near him in your current status.
Yes and no. This fucker's near death? All right.
Yeah, he's also fucking far away from you.
Did you take that potion from me?
He
I
did.
was
Yeah,
doing-
I've already drank
immediately
it.
drank it.
Yeah.
It's the only reason I'm still alive. All right, that was
Noted.
movement.
Take that off my sheet.
And then bonus
Oh.
act. Oh. I'm colliding with a wall?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you gotta step into me to get around.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
Okay. It's 5.
I will point out that he has hit me from further than that. Just to let you know.
I know.
Or as attempted.
All right. Well, because we know it works.
Oh yeah, going for a good old fashioned.
Did the thing pop up? Why did the thing not pop up? I'm trying to use the wand again. I'm clicking on the use wand of magic missiles.
Yeah.
Why do you have to be so close
Make
to him
sure-
for more?
Make
For the
sure
wand?
it's not in the background.
Background?
Yeah,
It
like
pop-
close your character sheet.
Oh, yeah, I checked that. It same
Uh,
thing again.
All right, hang on.
I was gonna burn 5 charges.
Okay.
That's
Why did you
I think
get so
it's
close
7
to that?
missiles.
yeah.
Why'd you get so close? That's my only question. Sorry.
Doesn't give me an option on how many charges to use, but
Yeah.
So
It's one of magic missile, right?
yes.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, using that.
Yeah. I'll leave you with 1 charge left, right?
Correct.
Yep. So that'd be a total of 7 missiles. So it's what, 7d4 plus 7?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So
All
just
right.
roll that and see what
Let's do it.
happens.
Yeah.
Near death easy. 23.
Plus the radiant d4.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
spell attack. It has to be an attack roll.
Yeah, I think it has to be an attack roll, unfortunately. It's not just damage.
Oh, I thought it was any attack.
I thought so
Uh,
too.
Oh,
it,
it is?
it could be. It just says attack. It does. You're right. It just says attack. So.
Yep.
All right. So.
That-
And
Another 2.
How does it go off for every dart?
I really doubt that. Otherwise, we
No.
just found a broken.
Yeah, it's just per attack.
Yeah. Yeah. If you went out for each dart, that would be a lot of extra damage.
That would literally double that spell.
Yeah, that'd be a little too broken.
It was just
Yeah.
because of like concentrations and with magic missile.
All right.
He's still up.
He's still up. God damn it.
Oh yeah, he will be.
All
Hey,
right.
she finished the fight. All right, that's my turn.
Yep.
Beat
It won't-
his ass.
You see
It
me
will-
I run past Tuga. I like hold this and I throw my lightsaber into your hand real quick. And then you see my gauntlets glow again, and I suddenly dash 15 feet forward.
Oh wow.
I have a sword.
Yeah, which I am doing what this is called. Where are you? God damn it! I clicked off the wrong thing. An unleashed bolt breaker gives me additional 15 feet of movement to move forward. And let's see if this thing works. Wait.
Kick his ass.
Okay.
I hear the.
I'm now catching instances of the music.
Let's see. What else can I do to this thing? Yeah. All right. Alt. Hit. Okay. Nothing happened.
Where's the kaboom?
What the?
And a part of this action, I get to shove him, and he's now prone. There's no saving throw to it.
Okay.
Oh right.
Of course, prone for him and prone for you guys is kind of an entirely different matter. Okay.
Oh hello.
Fuck yeah.
And just you just.
Okay. Now we need to have
Fiery
some
explosion.
saving throws.
Yeah, he's gonna have a fiery explosion, but
Yeah,
it's not
fiery
gonna-
explosion.
I have doubts he's going to kill us, but it's gonna be annoying.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling I'm just gonna use the auto save on this. What's the radius of the explosion?
The radius is 30 feet. Dex
Oh.
save of 20.
Oh,
All right, cool. I'm pretty much gonna roll. I'm gonna roll a Soul first. He has advantage.
Versus
Thank
74 points of damage.
Oh my god.
Ooh,
okay. We need Toga to succeed.
Dex save? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Soul goes down.
ooh.
Oh,
Even with
that-
advantage.
no rolls, no problems. Okay.
Oh,
sorry.
wait, let me check what his spells are. He might be able to.
Ah,
He doesn't have this spell. That's unfortunate for him. All right, so he drops to 0.
As does Tuga.
I was 1 hit point off from surviving that.
All right.
Uh,
What's the
all right,
DC in this?
you got 20.
All right. Come on.
You
Come on,
take
come on.
half at worst, none if you pass.
Do you have your evasion?
Yeah.
I do have evasion. Here we go.
Did he get you? Did he get you, Wade, or did he not get you?
I don't think so. What was the range?
30 feet.
30.
Oh. Yeah, actually, I think he did.
You got
3, 4.
You know
Evasion.
damage.
No damage, motherfuckers!
Savior will pick us all up.
To save.
So he's going to have to give a potion to Tuga.
Give me a second. Give me a second. I need to. Let's see what I roll. I need a nat 20 to pass this, but I'm gonna use my ring if I don't pass it. So. Yep, using my ring to succeed definitely was a nat 1. So I take half of 74, which is 37.
And what was the DC? I have a
20.
feature. I'll put
20.
4 on it, but it's still not going to make it, is it? What is it?
DC
20.
of 20.
I'm down.
I don't think
All
you
right.
could have survived half even.
No. Well, no, I couldn't. No, I couldn't.
Uh,
I would have missed it by 1.
okay. I am still up.
I'm still up. I survived a Baylor explosion with 7 hit points.
I actually tanked the hit.
That's how I did my
God.
evasion. I hid behind you.
Yeah. Okay. So we're still in initiative order, right?
Actually, that is the end of combat.
Oh,
Okay. Well, I was talking about death saving throws. That's why I was asking.
I don't think you'll delay that long and that'll
Okay.
become an
We're
issue.
yeah, because
yeah, so-
basically all you got to do is get Tuga up.
Yep. I walk over. I'm like, I don't know how. I look at Xavier's like, I don't know how I'm doing these powers, and I
Why do
touch.
you look at me?
Yeah,
I take my hood
'cause you
off.
don't- Yeah. I look at you. Yeah. I'm like, I actually look directly at you, even if you are invisible.
I take my hood off. Bitch, how?
Yeah.
I don't know. I say I don't know, and I touch Tuga, and Tuga gets 1 hit point.
Okay.
Oh right, you're
hello.
paladin. Oh yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how I'm doing this.
I got nothing for healing.
Oh, of
what are
course
we
you
doing?
don't.
All
Are you
right,
searching the
so
buff?
So me and Tuga get to the next step.
All right, you pick
which-
me up
yeah.
next, and then I heal.
Yeah,
I come
like
up to here.
I grab a Soul and give him 1 hit point,
Okay.
And
and then
I'll go and
you can bonus action also get Loris to stabilize him with your thing too.
yeah.
I don't think with that
Spare the dying is 30 feet for her.
Yeah, Spare the Dying is 30 feet for me, so I will use. I will touch my brother on the head.
Yeah. And
I
then
will-
I will. Go ahead.
and then I'll use Spare the Dying on Loris.
All right, and then immediately right
Yeah,
after
I'm
Loris,
good.
you get a hit point back.
Oh, cool.
Okay, you
Okay.
Yeah.
touched my head for what amount of healing?
Spellcasting ability modifier.
Get up, young man.
I used cure wounds. So, I'm gonna say you get
It's maxed out if he's unconscious.
Yeah, it's
yeah, I know. I was like, you get. I'm like debating in my head. You know, you're gonna get 12.
Thank you.
Not 12, 11.
All right.
I'll save a couple spell slots, but
I'm up. That's fine. It's understandable.
Okay, so we had an action plan that basically got everybody.
Stable.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, basically, we
Hooray.
got a plan where everyone gets like, cause it's like heal Tuga. Tuga immediately pops up, heals Ben's character, spare the dying's Loris. And then it's like pop pop pop.
And good news. It's level up.
Oh,
I look at you, Loris, like, what the fuck is going on with me? I keep hitting, things explode. I can heal you now.
Well, I don't know what's going on with you. You're going to have to answer that. I've been asking what the fuck is wrong with you for a long time, and I still haven't figured it out.
oh right. Ability score modifiers.
I think we need to pop that bubble again.
How do we level in this sheet again?
There's
I
a
think we
button
clicked the
for that.
button.
Say again?
There's a
There's
button.
a button. Top right
Next
button.
to where it says your level, there's an arrow.
There might be on yours, but there's not on mine.
Hang on.
There is on mine. It might
Is
be
there
because
any-
are you linked in through D&D Beyond?
No. So I got it. I remember I now go to class levels and change it there.
Is there anything funny about health? How hit point increases?
Well, whatever you chose is what you have to stick with. So if you start rolling from the get-go, you have to roll.
Otherwise, you take average.
Yep.
I imagine I've been taking average, honestly.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
It just threw an error at me when I leveled up. It moved my hit points, but not my actual level. I don't know if that's still an issue from what happened last time.
Hang on. Okay. So you should be level 8 now.
Yeah, I clicked the button, took average. And like I said, hit points went up, but I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Those two hits were.
Let's
Oh my
see.
god! Look.
Private item type in the array defined. Huh. I'll have to look more into that.
Okay.
Well, I did a grand total of.
oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. 50, 36. I did a grand total of 36 damage. That last series of attacks.
Yeah, mine did the same thing, and I can't import it using the importer.
No, so wait, you have to wait. Are you clicking the button on the top right or doing the normal importer?
I clicked the bottom on the top right, got an arrow, went and did the normal importer, and also got an error. So, I
You can-
will manually do it.
Yeah, you can go to the features, and at the top where it has your class levels, you can edit in there. That's what I did.
I can't do that.
You can't? Okay.
Oh, wait, let's see. Maybe it'll let me. Because actually, it seems maybe it is letting me.
It let me level up, no problem, for some odd reason.
Yeah. No, wait, I can change it so it says 8. That's good. Okay, that works.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been so busy with everything. Tony, I forgot to even really like think about how I was going to go with this. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm trying to. Oh Lord, have mercy.
Okay. Let's do a couple of things here. See.
Do I want to do Spell Sniper or Warcast? I think I want to do Warcast.
With what we're doing, yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm just taking the ASI.
Thought about Mage Slayer, but he's not using a lot of mages
Yet.
yet.
He's been using a fair number of mages.
Has he? Well,
With all the fireballs and such.
yeah, but
You
you
talk
look
about
at
the skulls. The
is
skulls.
it, how is it worded? Are they
Vampiric thralls.
Mage Slayer? It's in the M's. Where did it go? There it is.
I don't think it's that strong though. It's not like you're closing distance.
No, it's all off 5 foot stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say. It's like, isn't it like you have to be up in their face?
Well, the second one is the second bullet point. When you damage a creature concentrating, they have disadvantage. That's appealing, but that's not where the feat's been.
Yeah. If you got like a intelligent point out of it, I would say yeah, that would be worth it. But
Yeah, I'm already up at 20.
you're already up at 20. Oh yeah, that's right. You rolled super stats.
I rolled super stats and I think I took an ASI early on and bumped it. Wait a minute, what do I already have? Oh yeah, elemental adept.
Try this again.
Yeah, we're gonna go Warcast.
All right. Import.
What happened to my character sheet? Weird.
What kind of rogue, Savior?
I'm a arcane trickster.
Arcane trickster. Okay. Import. Okay. Ability score improvement.
Yeah, for 8. Yeah, I'm maxing out that dex.
Failed to import.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you don't get to level up. Sorry.
Okay, so here's the weird thing, Tony. I want to be honest. Every time you've tried something, it keeps increasing my
hit
HP?
points. Yeah.
my hit points. So
I see
now
that.
yeah, okay, because I've gone from like it was supposed to be like what's it on my other
You were-
sheet?
Originally, you were 47. Only reason why I know that is because I was 74. I was like, ha, we got opposite numbers.
Yeah, I went up to I think it was 54. I went up to 54, and then every time I was like, oh shit.
I might have to work on this over the weekend. Figure out what's going on.
No rush. Like I said, I'm just gonna max out my dex to 20.
Okay.
I figure it's probably the smart play.
Especially after you saw your life flash before your eyes. Was that giant explosion?
It was really boring. Yeah. That's kind of my game plan. Yeah.
All right. All right, boys and girls. Looks like I got a few things I gotta fix. So.
No rush.
Do you want to talk about the oath the, next week or whatever, or what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Or if you want to do a chat tomorrow, is fine.
I'll be playing another D&D game probably right here, so I'll be like, hey.
Yeah. All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the fight.
It was
I love
awesome.
the fights.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the near TPK?
Yes, those are the best kinds of fights. The ones where you barely make it out, and not everyone does.
It's like I was like, if I make it out of this explosion, I could get everyone up. I just gotta make it out of this
Well,
explosion.
typically, it only takes one character
Mm-hmm.
most of the
That's the-
time to save the party, because all they have to do is save.
Save the healer.
Yeah.
Pop the healer.
By the way, what was that demon or fiend? What did you?
That was a Baylor.
Baylor. And what was he, about 190, 185 hit points?
254.
That's what I said, 254. God
How
damn.
much damage did I do to him when I just like it was like I found my character would have been like, fuck it, I'm taking one of us is going down.
Wow.
It
Yes,
was a little over 100 hit points, yeah. Probably close to 120.
Yeah.
Just like the dice like me today, guys. The dice like
Yeah, the dice liked us.
Well, you had
versus
2
the
crits.
3 crits.
Or, okay, 3 crits, so
Yep.
that doesn't hurt.
thing. I
I
just
mean-
burned everything into that one
Yeah.
that one turn. Like, you know what? Leaving it all on the table.
Oh, as you should. We are fighting a Baylor.
What I wasn't expecting was him to leave. that threw me off my game plan just slightly. I was like, wait, I got my
He's
gauntlets
got-
let me move. My gauntlets let me move.
He's gotta take out he's gotta take the concentrator so that he can actually kill you.
I was
There's
just
that.
oh no.
And his aura, he wanted to do more damage than to just one person.
Mhm.
I was like, oh no, he can teleport.
Yep.
I thought he was just striding and ignoring the strikes that he would take.
Nope. You would like Cody probably would have been like, hey, opportunity, he's leaving.
And I'm just like, okay, and now Eric, ASI or telepathic? No context.
Do you have a odd number or even number on your charisma?
Odd.
I'll take telepathic.
All right.
All right, guys. I'll leave it up for a little while tonight,
Yeah.
and then I'll probably recycle the server tomorrow and see what I need to fix.
I can no longer interact with my character sheet. All right.
We're level 8, y'all.
And if
Level 8, y'all.
if you were able to do something and not something else, let me know. Send me a text in Discord.
See if I can actually look to see my sheet.
Oh my god.
No longer able to open Gorzuki. Okay.
I love how y'all immediately started playing Duel of the Fates
Two of what?
for a little bit.
What were you saying?
Like Duel of the Fates now, I'm like, my focus broke on.
Yeah.
Two of us are still pure classing, or what?
Let's see, we got probably a pure bard, a pure cleric, and a pure wizard.
And
a
a
pure
pure-
rogue.
A pure rogue, though I'm not going to deny, part of me is wondering if I want a multi-class.
I have no interest in multi-classing.
Well,
because
if you're considering that, then I can wait. I'll work on the copy.
No, Tony, not for the 8th level. 8th level is definitely going rogue.
Okay.
You might be thinking about. Are you thinking about reliable talent at all, or?
I don't know. I'm just debating.
Mm.
Can someone else open? Is Tony still here to open Gorzugi and give him telepathic?
You mean Geraldine?
Geraldine, thank you. What
I was like-
hell?
What are we adding here?
The feat telepathic. If that's in the list.
It should be. I mean, if you go to the importer, it's
Let me
at the
see.
bottom, towards the end.
For whatever reason, I can no longer open Gyrolin's sheet, so. Jeez. That's all.
Having a problem getting the importer to open. There it goes.
Alright.
Well, maybe.
Alright, maybe I'll wait till next time.
Put a text in Discord. Oh, here we go. It was just behind the thing.
Yeah, just
Oh.
need to read.
Alright, it was...
Feat telepathic.
Quick question, Tony.
Just
Am I still neutral?
telepathy? Just telepathy?
Telepathic.
Telepathic.
Okay, I've got telepathic telepathy. Is that it? Bard? Thought song?
No. No, it should be. It's a feat. It's a regular feat.
Okay, let me...
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, it's in the feats, and it's towards the bottom.
Alright.
I shouldn't have asked you to do this.
No,
I'll
it's
try-
fine. Telepathic. Okay. I see
Thank
it.
you.
Let's see if it works. Choose ability score to increase intelligence. Charisma. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, it's still working. Come on. Okay. Said it was successful. Uh-oh. I got lots of errors now.
Oh no.
Of course.
Failed to load subclass feature. Failed to
What?
load references for entries. Failed to load references for 2 entries. Channel divinity.
What?
It's throwing all kinds of errors. The game, yeah, I'm gonna... Basically, guys, just get out.
Hey.
Ironically, everything's working fine for me. I have no idea why.
That's because you rolled nat 20s all night, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's throwing all kinds of errors now. I don't know what happened.
Oh my
Hey,
god.
guys. I take it we survived.
I'm going to jump off, guys.
Yeah.
Later, Dave. Hi, Dave. Later, Dave.
Have a good night, guys.
Everyone went down at the end of the fight, except
great.
for me and David's character.
Nice. Yeah, I just started feeling better, so I was like, I'll
Yeah.
check on you guys.
Baylor exploded.
Yeah, we were fighting a Baylor.
Nice. So we're level 8 now, right? So that means I can finally get studying strike.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to reboot the server. Something very bad's going on.
I'm not logging in. I'm probably not going to be on. I'm just jumping on to see how everything
Sure.
went. That's all.
Yes, but
All
we
right.
still held that Arcana with.
It was,
I'm out. Thanks, Tony. You guys have a good week.
You too.
Later, Wade. It was
Cheers.
fun.
Later.
Bye.
Bye, Dave.